The one time in the year when big corporations champion inclusivity because it's great marketing and publicity, and even better, quarterly reports, I guess. I just hate all the Pride Month exclusive stuff that everyone puts out, like being queer is some show. And all of these are limited edition merch. It's especially glaring this year for US based companies that rolled back their DEI initiatives, and a lot of them cut back their support for any Pride Month activities that quite a few of them needed to cancel. Just made it so glaringly obvious it's all for show. But moving on, let's talk about queer stories, and I mean my favorite queer story, Dangerous Drugs of Sex. No, just kidding. Can you imagine though? If you haven't seen Dangerous Drug of Sex, it's a Japanese BL. Please don't look it up unless you're into trauma porn. But moving on. No, what I mean is Carl from Gaya sa Pelikula, or like in the movies, Carl and Vlad's story will always make me cry and break my heart. It doesn't matter that I've watched the show almost 100 times at this point. That show will always wreck me, and it's not even just the romance, but Carl's self discovery and self determination. The way that coming out isn't a moment but a process that you keep surviving every day. That's what I mean whenever I talk about lived experiences, not just a representation for the sake of checking a box or chasing a trend. Like in the movies, feels like someone's queer story. And that's probably because it is. So before I break down and cry again about this fucking show, like in the movies is a story about Carl who's living on his own for the first time to follow a family tradition where men live on their own for a trial period because that's what real men do, I guess. Which is honestly the most Filipino Catholic thing ever. Don't even get me started. Moving on. While living on his own in his uncle's condo unit, Carl met Vlad, a spoiled rich kid who's out and proud. Through Vlad, Carl experienced feelings he never really acknowledged, even to himself. It's Carl's process of figuring himself out, his internal battles, he struggles with how much of his true self he's allowed to show, how much space he's allowed to take up for himself. All of that feels so real. From the fear of admitting to yourself that you're not straight to telling your parents no on their planned out future for you, his journey reflects a lot of queer experiences. It is such a refreshing show because there's no checklist and no formula. It's like something someone actually went through, and like I said, it's based on true experience. In too many shows, queerness is just an obstacle, something to be overcome, and I guess in this society it kinda is. But more so, queerness is a very personal experience. Your fears, your doubts, and not just Carl, Vlad and Tito Santi's perspective as out and proud, that coming out is not even the biggest obstacle. It's just one of them, where your value to people came down to the fact that you're not straight. One of the most memorable lines from Tito Santi.
Di ako laging nasasaktan dahil bakla ako. Lagi lang kasi akong nagmamahal.
Tito Santi's bitterness, that realism, that's also a queer story. It's also amazing seeing multiple queer characters at a different points in their journey, their own perspective and their own contradictions. Vlad being proud and fighting for his own identity by calling out simple terms and simple gestures that might seem so insignificant, but at the same time is quietly offensive. The ones people dismiss as quote unquote not too deep, like when someone says something harmless, a throwaway joke, a poorly chosen word, a backhanded compliment and Vlad stops and corrects it, that takes strength. A lot of people will probably just let it go, but it's important to call out microaggressions instead of brushing it off for the sake of peace or likability. That calling out a joke or correcting how someone praises your identity or simply refusing to be polite about your existence isn't overreacting. It's protecting yourself, it's self respect. And in the end, Carl decided he's not ready to come out. And Vlad just as clearly refuses to go back to the closet. They have different truths, and that's okay. They're both valid. It's bittersweet ending, but it's also one of the most honest ones that I've seen in queer media, and it's heartbreaking in its truth. Carl, with his fear, with all the internalized shame, he's only just starting to untangle. He's valid for not being ready, for needing time, for choosing himself, even if it means stepping away from something beautiful. It's just so painful to watch. But like in the movies doesn't try to sell us the fantasy of love fixing everything. It doesn't pretend that coming out is a one size fits all solution. It recognizes that queer people are on different timelines and that love doesn't erase fear or magically align two people's journey. And Vlad, with his pride, with all the battles he's fought to live openly and loudly, is valid for drawing a boundary, for saying I won't go backward for anyone even if I love you. It trusts the audience enough to sit with the complexity, to hold space for love that doesn't get a neat happy ending, but is, oh god, I'm going to cry. Hold on. So we didn't get a happy ending, but it is still meaningful. It's still worthy. It's still deeply queer. In the landscape full of sanitized love story with tidy resolutions, this ending feels like a quiet rebellion. The title, like in the movies, isn't a cute branding. It's a critique, I think, of what we know as normal, on what's visible, on what's sanitized. The idea of love looking cinematic. When we say something feels like a movie, we mean sweeping gestures, meet cutes, grand declarations. We mean heteronormative scripts. Gaya sa Pelikula is a love story even without the happy ending. This is a queer love story. This is a queer coming out of age. This is what queerness means.
Bakla po.